Sometimes I get started on something and I forget where I'm at. I get so wrapped up in it. And sometimes I read something and I don't get past the first sentence because the word or the phrase just sticks in my craw and I just can't get rid of it. Yesterday in the gospel, we find women crying. I know some women cry at the drop of a hat, or they read the yellow pages and they cry, or they see a puppy on the TV and they cry. But this woman wasn't a crier. She was a hardened woman. She came from the streets, and her name was Mary Magdalene. So when she fell in love, finally, having looked for love in all the wrong places, she put all her hopes, her dreams, in a pure love, a love she never knew before, the love of a man who she came to understand was more than a man. He was God. And when she lost him, her world was shattered, her dreams gone, her love, the love of her life, was just no more. And so when she wept, she was really in a state. So she goes not out of anything except love, blinded by the love. She wanted to do something, as some of us want to do something about this virus. We can't do anything. We're frustrated. We want to do something. And so she got up early and went with a couple other women to wash the body, prepare it properly. And she's in deep sorrow, another world sorrow. And she's crying and weeping, and she goes to the tomb and she finds it open, and she goes in the tomb, and there she sees an angel, or a couple angels, one at the head and one at the foot of the place where Jesus lay. And she's crying. And the angel asks a very silly question. "Why are you crying, woman?" And she doesn't answer. Then she turns around and starts out, and she sees a figure. And she says to this man, whom she takes as the gardener, "Where have you laid him? Tell me, and I'll bring him. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll take care of him. Don't worry." And he says to her, "Woman, why are you crying? Why are you crying?" Most of us are crying because someone we care about, we love, has been infected, or affected by this virus. We're all affected. We can't leave home. We can't go and do our shopping. We can't go out to eat. We can't have sex. We can't do any things we enjoy in life. Can't go to church. Some of us don't enjoy going to church, but we go anyway. And it's so nice to be able to do virtual church, because then we don't have to worry about getting up and getting dressed and wasting all that time and driving and fighting with the people in the parking lot. But I would like to ask you, how many would enjoy a virtual steak, or a virtual session with your wife, or with your husband, or with your boyfriend or girlfriend? How many would enjoy a virtual vacation? Some people are even at home now planning virtually the new remodel they're going to do of their home, and how they're going to fix it up and make it a real palace, because it's only half a palace now. And all I can think about it when I hear those ads on the radio is, "You fool, this night I ask of you your soul. And what will your new barns and your accumulated wealth be for you or anybody else?" So why are you crying? Are we crying because we have sinned as a world? We're crying because our world is destroyed as we know it? was in a garden, by the way, that the real root of this problem started. It started in a garden called Eden. And we're not crying because of that first sin, but that's the root of this virus and every other evil in our world. The evil in our world, it doesn't come from God. It comes from us. By sinning, we offended God. And now his justice demands that in this garden, we don't know him. He walked in the first garden and we hid from him. We thought if we could sew enough fig leaves together, we could hide our nakedness. But he was naked in the garden where he was crucified. And we couldn't see when he walks in the garden now, bright and glorious, clothed in light. We're so blind, we don't see him. But he sees us and knows us and calls us by name. If only we would weep for our sins and ask God to forgive us our sins, how different our world would be. How closer it would be to that garden wherein we had everything we could possibly want. It's by obedience and by dying to self that we're able eventually to find the love that Mary found. She looked in all the wrong places. And when she found it, she couldn't recognize Jesus when she came upon him. But he recognized her and called her Mary. He knows you. He knows me. He sees in our nakedness. He knows where we are. And though we try to hide from God and hide our nakedness from God, our sinfulness, our brokenness, he calls us by name and he asks us, why are you crying?